Good, you guys. Welcome back to the Puncher's Point. We are fresh off of the Lomachenko Kambosos fight. Breezy, you hit this right on the money. Now, unfortunately for y'all that didn't tune into the prediction episode, Breezy predicted round 10 knockout happened around 11. That's the only thing he got wrong. Besides that, everything was spot on with what he said. He kept telling me, Mario, Lomachenko's going to do this guy crazy. And I said, Breezy, I don't think it's going to be as lopsided as you think it was. Boy, was I wrong. I'm gonna say this right now. I don't think I've ever seen Kambosos get beat like that in my life. Like that was bad. Like Devin Haney put a whooping on him, but I mean Lomachenko put the icing on the cake right there. That whole fight was Lomachenko. I don't even think there's a round where you can give it to Kambosos. Put it this way. Lomachenko had a 10-8 round without even a knockdown. One of those rounds, Lomachenko outstriked him 21-1. I mean, look, Kambosos is a warrior, but I'm sorry, I hate to say he got dog walked today, and it wasn't even close. There was that one round at the end where they were just swinging. I believe that might have been like round 4 or 5, one of those two. And other than that, though, Kambosos was screwed. I mean, you could tell throughout that entire fight, Lomachenko just had his number. Now, obviously, we do have our rating system. I'm going to start off with the breakdown, the game plan. Breezy, give me the game plan. Give me the breakdown on how Lomachenko won this fight. And on a scale of 1 to 10, combined, like an overall score for both fighters, what would you rate the game plan?
It is. When I broke down the fight for Lomachenko in the prediction video, I told people Lomachenko starts off slow. So if Lomachenko, and I made mention of, I said, look, Lomachenko is going to have to start off fast. If he don't, Georgekambosos is going to start off fast. And that's why, and I kept telling people that because, like I said, I felt like that's the huge reason why he lost to Haney, in my opinion. The huge reason why he lost to Teo, in my opinion, is because of how he starts off. Did y'all see the first round where Lomachenko, yeah, he wasn't throwing a lot, but guess what? He was active. He was still pressing Kambosos back. So you could tell Lomachenko's game plan was not to start off slow, which that was the first thing he did correctly. He didn't start off slow. He didn't get backed up. He brought some pressure to Kambosos while also still extending that arm out there, giving thanks, signaling to Kambosos is that, I'm here, although I'm not throwing anything, but I'm still here and I'm in front of you and I'm going to be in front of you. I'm not going to let you take the easy rounds up on me. On top of that, too, like I said, Lomachenko is the type of fighter. If you throw one shot, he's coming back with two. If you throw two, he's coming back with four. Lomachenko, already thought that Lomachenko had the better IQ, the better physical movement, just everything. I just felt he was topped everything that Kambosos didn't have. Head movement, footwork, aside from all that, the IQ exactly. But I don't think I sit on the pod, but I did tell somebody this. I said this is a tailor-made matchup for Lomachenko. And that's not me crapping on Lomachenko's win. I don't want that to come off that way. Credit to Lomachenko for his win. Credit for Kambosos stepping in there with him. It was it was just a mismatch with the IQ and the skills. Lomachenko came in, he pressed the action early, although he was still extending that jab out there with feint, still using his slick footwork, still using that head movement, still keeping that guard up while still downloading data from Kambosos. And then overall, he just started picking him apart and started walking him down before the stoppage. So if you ask me, this was a really great game plan from Lomachenko. This is literally the best fight I've seen from Lomachenko. Kid you not, hands down. Like, I know a lot of people want to say the fight he had with Comey, which he kind of kept telling Comey's corner to stop the fight and whatnot. But I really truly think that this was Lomachenko's best performance. I low key give Lomachenko's performance call me crazy, but I give it a 10. From round one all the way up to the stoppage. Lomachenko was on top of it. He he suffered. He completely made it uncomfortable for Kambosos. Kambosos couldn't really do anything. And it was a great game plan. He started off quick and he finished strong. So I give it a 10. Congrats to Lomachenko.
10 for Lomachenko is completely justifiable, in my opinion. I mean, the guy didn't lose a round. He dominated all the way through the 11th. But then you got to add Kambosos. Look, I'm going to be honest. Kambosos' game plan was not that great. I give it a 4. But if you're asking me overall, the game plan for this fight, as far as if I'm looking at this fight and I'm looking at what a great fight really is, a great fight is when both fighters studied each other very, very well. One did that, the other one didn't. So I'm gonna say this: the game plan overall for this fight, I'm gonna give it about probably like a 6.5 overall. I'm not saying that's Kambosos great. Kambosos gets a 10. I mean, excuse me, Lomachenko gets a 10. Kambosos gets a like a 5 at most. I mean, that's the best I can give him really is a 5. But I'm gonna give the overall game plan a 6.5 because you got one guy who just studied the other one like a textbook, and the other one, and then you got Kambosos who didn't even look like he was ready. I mean, and when you look at it, what I noticed that Lomachenko did that was very incredible was he was destroying Kambosos little by little. He was doing it better B of style, where it wasn't, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna knock you out. No, no, no. It was, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna hit you with 3 punch combinations. And when you try to attack me, I'm gonna make sure I shift the angle so you can't look for me. It reminded me of, in the movies where the main character is being confronted by a ghost and they try to like punch the ghost and the ghost disappears and then they show up behind them. That's exactly what Lomachenko was to Kambosos. He was the ghost. Every single time Kambosos tried to attack him, tried to get on the attack, Lomachenko just would be on his side, be behind him. No diddy. And I think that Lomachenko and his footwork and his defense and Kambosos not being able to get a read on him, I think that definitely affected Kambosos. And I think that he didn't expect Lomachenko to be that quick, and he didn't expect him to be this powerful in the stage of Lomachenko's career that he's in. I'm gonna say this right now. There was a certain period of time where we called him Nomaschenko. I'm saying this right now. Nomaschenko is back, Breezy. I've said it. I said this is the prime version of Lomachenko, the one that we seen against Nakatani, the one with Devin. This later version of Lomachenko is probably the most prime version of Lomachenko that we got, because not only is he basically learning that I have to go into these fights and I got to make sure I apply pressure early, but he's also very tactical. He's not getting knocked down like he did in his early career. He's going in there against the best, and it doesn't matter who he fights. You best believe he's gonna make it a tough fight for anybody. So I think right now, people saying Lomachenko's the number one lightweight in his division, 100%. I mean, who else are you going to give it to? They're going to say Tank Davis, but I mean, let's be real. A win against Ryan Garcia does not make Tank Davis the number one lightweight in that division. People are going to say Shakur Stevenson. I'm going to be honest. Shakur Stevenson, after his last performance, you can't put him up there. Keyshawn Davis is on the come up. Navarrete and Baranchik. Whoever wins that fight, credit to them, but I don't think they deserve number one. I'm telling you this right now. Lomachenko has been fighting the best guys at 135. He has been beating the best guys at 135. Lomachenko is the number one lightweight, number one 135 pounder in this division. But as far as game plan, I gotta give it a 6.5 for overall, just because Kambosos' lack of game plan definitely dropped it as far as an overall rating. But I mean, if we're talking about Lomachenko, you got to give him a 10. No, I agree with you, Breezy. I don't think he gets anything under a 10. Next category, we're gonna go with excitement. Did this live up or exceed the hype that we thought it was going to live up to or exceed? So you know what, Breezy, I'm gonna ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as excitement, where do you rate this fight? Or on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate it?
I would rate it honestly, it would be up there. You can give it 8, 9, 10. You can give it one of those because I'm gonna tell you why, right? Because Lomachenko fought Devin Haney. Lomachenko, he fought Ortiz before that. And then we all know he had the loss to Tio. So to be fair, I was looking at Twitter, I was looking at Instagram, I was looking at YouTube comments, and I noticed a lot of people was really counting out Lomachenko. A lot of people were saying things like, "Oh, Kambosos is going to expose Lomachenko. Kambosos is going to do this, do that to Lomachenko." And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, people low key forgot who Lomachenko is. Just because he had the performance with Devin Haney, all right, cool. Just because he had the performance against Teofimo, all right, cool. But that's why I said in the prediction video, the breakdown video, that's why I had said, like, Lomachenko still is Lomachenko. He still have those power punches. He still got that speed. He still got that defense. He still has it. And then he's going in there with a guy like Kambosos. And the thing about it is with Kambosos, I give his performance a 6-2. See, and I'm gonna be real. I gave Kambosos 2 rounds just because I felt like 2 rounds, I felt like he finished okay. He finished pretty okay, pretty strong, and he kind of got some shots off at the end, a little aggressive. So I did give him 2 rounds, but that's it. I didn't give him anything outside of 2 rounds. But I gave his performance a 6. You could tell after a while, his confidence began to slowly deteriorate. You could tell after a while of Lomachenko outboxing him, outpointing him, outscoring him, and just completely putting on a clinic. You can tell his confidence just went out the window, and he was nearly just there to get a knockout, which I said that he's going to stand there. He doesn't really have much of a head move, and because he's going to stand there, Lomachenko is going to pick him apart and then stop him. Now, like I said, um, yeah, it was just all the way bad for Kambosos. I mean, like I said, people have to remember fighters have off performances. They have off nights. Just because they have an off night of off performance, that does not mean they're a bum. That doesn't mean they got exposed. That doesn't mean they're trash, right? Just like Lomachenko had an off performance and lost a fight. Look what he did this fight. Uh, Same thing with Ryan. Ryan came back, Oscar Duarte, whatever with the Haney, however y'all want to look at it. And then it happens. Fighters lose. Fighters have off nights. But at the same time, though, this should be a learning lesson to stop counting fighters off just because they lose a fight or they have a bad performance. I think this was a reminder that this is boxing. You know what I'm saying? Everything all matters when it's under those lights. I say for this, I put it this. You could give it a 9 simply because due to the hype. You could tell it was a little bit of tension there between the fathers. You could tell it was a little bit of tension between Kambosos' father and Lomachenko's team. And you could tell like they had their little in, especially since they had a problem with Lomachenko showing up a little bit late to the weigh-in. So, that kind of rubbed them the wrong way, especially with the announcer. He was like, well, what took you so long? So I say it definitely had a little bit built up hype to it. So I give it a 9. Overall performance of the fight, yeah, I give it a 9.
I'm gonna go 8. I think as a boxing fan, this is a very entertaining fight. I think if you're a true boxing fan, if you're a fan of the sweet science of boxing, this is as exciting as you're gonna get. The reason why I don't put it as a 10 is because both guys didn't bring the excitement. Only one guy did that, and that was Lomachenko. The reason why I don't give it a 9 is because there wasn't really any moments that Kambosos had that was exciting. Both guys went in there and just went pound for pound, blow for blow, and they just made it like a Ray Ford type fight. Then I would have gave it a 10, or like an Arturo Gotti versus Mickey Ward, something like that. That deserves a 10. But Jesse Rodriguez and Sonny Edwards, those are exciting fights. Those are 10 as far as excitement. But when only one guy's bringing the excitement, I mean, you got to put that as an 8. I'm gonna say that right now. It was an 8. It was a very entertaining fight for a boxing fan. If you want to know about the sweet science and how to do it correctly, this is the fight that you watch. And the one thing I loved about Lomachenko is just the way he ended it. I mean, he could have dominated him for 12 rounds, go to the judges' scorecards. It would have been a 12-0 sweep, most likely, maybe a 10-2, like you said. But I mean, just the way he ended it. I mean, he ended it round 11, total pressure, knocked down Kambosos, hit him with a body shot, knocked him down again, and then said, you know what, you want to get back up? I'm gonna make sure I get the hat trick on you and hit him with another body shot and basically crumbled George Kambosos. So I'm not gonna lie, that fight should have been stopped before the 11th round. I mean, if you're Kambosos trainer, you gotta realize, like, look, man, like what else? What are you gonna do? Like, you gotta do something, man. Like, you can't keep letting this guy bully you this way. And if that's my fighter, I'm saying, look, it's clear that you don't want to fight. It's clear that you're not trying to do anything. I'm just gonna stop. I'm just gonna stop the fight. And this is no discredit from George Kambosos. I still think he's a warrior for staying in there as long as he did. But at the same time, I mean, you could tell that Lomachenko is just levels above him, man. I mean, from level changes to defense to the way he shifts angles to the way he would throw his counter punches, the way he would apply pressure. I mean, everything Lomachenko was doing was working, and it was just nonstop fired cylinders. He would just keep going and going, and Kambosos didn't have an answer for that. Last but not least, stakes and impact. Obviously, two separate grades for both of these, but I'll start off with stakes. Stakes, I mean, the IBF title's on the line. It's not undisputed, you know. As far as stakes, man, I'll say this. I give it a 7 only for the sole purpose of because one title was on the line. But the reason why I bump it up is because both of these guys needed this win. I feel like the stakes for this was maybe slightly a little bit higher because both of these guys have been desperate need for a win. And I think that when you really go back and you look at it, this is Lomachenko's last gasp to become undisputed. And I think the pressure is there for Lomachenko. I think that as far as the rest of his fights to come, the pressure is going to be there. Because in my opinion, one loss, and I think Lomachenko can kiss that undisputed dream goodbye. And as far as George Kambosos, I mean, being a former lightweight champion, after the losses to Devin Haney and the controversial win against Maxie Hughes, he needed this win as well. So as far as stakes, I'm gonna go 7. As far as what it does for the boxing world, as far as impact, I'm gonna give that a 7 as well. I mean, this fight basically put Lomachenko back on the map. This fight put Lomachenko exactly where he needed to be, the number one lightweight in the world. And I think that this fight has reminded everybody that Lomachenko is not dead, that Lomachenko is back and he's here for one goal, and that is to become undisputed. And I think he proved that he is still that great fighter. He still is Lomachenko, and he still is a very, very dangerous fighter. But you know what, Breezy, you might have a different opinion than me. I'm gonna pass it on to you.
Stakes wasn't really too high. I give it a 7 on both ends, stakes and impact. I say this right. The stakes of this fight, I agree 100%. You know, both of these guys were in positions where it's like it's a must-win fight. And the thing about it is too, is that if you really look at the dynamic of that situation, these guys have both been in the ring with opponents that they're both familiar with. They both faced Tio. They both faced Haney. So it's just kind of like, okay, this is a race to get back in that title picture, which obviously Lomachenko, you know, edged that out and he stopped him and beat him dominantly. But as far as the impact, you can see it for potential Shakur versus Lomachenko fight. You know, a lot of people was asking for that fight way before Shakur even got to 135, way before even Lomachenko faced Haney. You know, so that was a big fight that was being talked about before. Or the impact is you can get a fight between Loma and Tank. Both short and really good at boxing, and he both got power. That would make for a great matchup. And I actually saw Tank Davis come out on Twitter and actually say that he's next after Frank Martin, but he deleted the tweet. I hope that that still remains intact. I hope that Tank is still looking to get in there with Lomachenko. But I don't know how certain it is since the tweet has been deleted. But as far as the impact, it makes for better matchups and you get closer and closer to undisputed at 135 once again.
That's completely fair. And yeah, don't let Tank Davis off the hook. You tweeted that. We're gonna make sure that that's on record. Yeah, I mean, and look, I'm hoping that he's for real. I'm hoping that after that Frank Martin fight, Tank Davis and Lomachenko is next because that's gonna be a good fight. And I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people might think Tank Davis kills him after seeing what I seen. I'm not saying that Lomachenko wins, but let me tell you something, that's a tough fight. That is a very tough fight for Tank Davis, and I'm interested to see how he's going to handle that if that fight happens. But that is a big if. Okay, we all know how Tank Davis be moving now these days, and this is no disrespect to Tank Davis. Tank Davis is again one of the best fighters in the world when active. But I mean, come on, how many times are we gonna keep doing this? How many times are we gonna keep mentioning names and not fighting? I would ask who's next for Lomachenko, but you basically answered that question. So I'm gonna say this right now. After this win, I'm gonna ask this question: is Lomachenko's career on the line with every single fight? And by that I mean, do you feel like if Lomachenko loses one more fight, this is the end for Undisputed? This is the end for that dream? Do you feel like every single fight is a must win for Lomachenko at this point? And if he does somehow lose, how do you think he gets back up there?
I don't think it is. And I would say the same for the other fighters too. See, here's the thing, right? As long as you are staying active and you can activate to fight other contemporaries who have number one contender spots and you can find a way to get back in there, I still believe that no matter if it's Lomachenko, Shakur, Kambosos, they will always have an opportunity to get back in that picture. The thing about it is too, it's like at some point, do you still have the hunger? That's what it all boils down to. Not with just Loma, but with the rest of them. It's all about the hunger. Like even when you do get knocked back. See, here's the thing, right? It didn't go Lomachenko's way with the decision with Haney. Guess what? He's here now. And the thing about it is, it takes true grit and determination and true hunger to get back into that title picture. So let's say he does get in there with Shakur, he loses. Let's say he does get in there with Tank and he loses. At the end of the day, if he does loses those fights, at the end of the day, these are not bums. These are not low level tier competition. These are guys that could be considered potentially the greatest at 135. So it's like, let's say he does take those losses. Like people got to stop trying to take away from fighters' win because it's like by you doing that, you're also discrediting the win of that fighter too. Because at the same time, though, if he does get a loss from those fighters, it was like, well, y'all was just bigging up Tank. Y'all was just bigging up Shakur. And it's not to say that they're trash or bum because Tank and Shakur are phenomenal fighters, but the energy always gets switched up when a fighter takes a loss. You know what I'm saying? Even though he had the loss, I never came out here and said, "Oh, Loma's done." Woo, 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 woo. I always said, "Look, at the end of the day, every fighter has their day. Every fighter has an off night. So any fighter can get back in that title picture at any given time."
I'm gonna disagree. I think if he takes one more loss, he can kiss that dream bye. The reason why I say that is because Lomachenko's not getting any younger, and he's having some of the best of his prime years in this time. I don't think he's looked this good since he's first stepped onto the scene. And I think even if you're looking at it now, I think he looks even better than when he first stepped onto the scene. I think he's more knowledgeable. I think he's more intelligent. I think his ring IQ is there. I think that his chin isn't as deceptible as he used to be. I don't think he's getting caught as much as he used to be when he first stepped onto the scene. The reason why I think that if he loses one more time, it's it, is because we thought that was it when he lost to Devin Haney, and Devin Haney went up to 140, and Lomachenko got a last gasp of air. If you're looking at this division, man, I mean, Navarrete and Baranchek, that's going to be a fight in itself. Tank Davis, Frank Martin, Shakur Stevenson being WBC champion, he can't afford to lose because I feel like if he loses, he's not getting that rematch. I don't think it's gonna happen, man. Especially if he loses to a Shakur or Tank Davis, you can kiss that rematch goodbye because they're not giving away rematches. Those guys aren't gonna rematch him. If he loses to Navarrete and Baranchik, I mean, he might get a rematch there, but then you got to do the trilogy if you win. I just feel like time is not on Lomachenko's side. I feel like if he's going to become undisputed, it has to be now. He's got one more chance. This is his final chance, in my opinion. And could he lose and come back and maybe eventually become undisputed? Sure. Maybe he could have a last gasp of air later on in his career. We don't know. But in my opinion, I do think that this later part of his career is his prime. And I think that if he don't get it done now, I don't think it's going to happen at all. But I mean, after seeing what I saw tonight, Lomachenko is the number one lightweight in this division. I think, in my opinion, he's the king of this division right now. He's not the undisputed king because the other guys haven't fought yet, and he hasn't fought them yet either. So we're gonna see what happens once they fight or if they fight. But As of right now, the number one lightweight in that division is Lomachenko, and I do think that that division should run through Lomachenko. Pause. No Diddy. But with that being said, friend, I just want to say, I just want to say before we end this, I was grading the fight as we were talking about it. This fight gets a 7.69, which is right in the middle of Canelo Alvarez and Jaime Munguia, and it is right below Inoue and Neri. So it is number two as far as the three fights that we have graded. And honestly, I think that's a fair rating to put it. I do think it was a lot better than the Jaime Munguia Canelo Alvarez fight. And I think that, in my opinion, it was just below the Inoue Neri fight. So not a bad place to put it, Breezy. But I'm gonna let you continue breaking it down.
I know what the deal is. Punchers Point, we live and we active every single week. Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk next Saturday. We gonna be here. We gonna be watching, and we gonna be covering, and we gonna be, of course, here with the post-fight breakdown and analysis. Y'all know what the deal is. It's your boy Mario and Breezy. It's the Punchers Point. Make sure y'all stay on point with the Punchers Point.